Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
My name is Zach.
Good to be talking to you, Zach. How are we going this
Oh,
week?
Just totally vibing. Pre-show, we're talking about how caffeinated I am. You're on the ciders. I'm on the coffees. Time zone related, unrelated probably, but that intro music gets me going every time. You know, I only really vibe to it when we're on the show. I don't hear it much other. And I'm not playing it. It's not on my gym playlist.
Almost never hear it anymore.
Right.
Sad. Sad when things get forgotten.
Yeah, hashtag sad.
It's basically, it's becoming a piece of... The podcast theme is becoming a piece of lost media. I kid, our download numbers are not cratering that bad.
No, what is that intro music called in your file library?
The file I received was called Project X because the person who made it for us, you may remember, it was top secret. We told him, don't tell anybody. And I'm pretty sure we even said, this doesn't have any samples that might get someone into legal problems if someone would hurt it. And he was like, nah, don't worry, they won't sue you. And I was like, yeah, but does it have any samples? Or is it fine or is it not fine? He's like, you will be fine. I was like, yeah, but what I'm asking you though, what a sketchy dude.
So sketchy. I mean, that's Daft Punk for you, man. So sketchy.
They're just so sketchy. Skrillex you never know what he's about. Exactly. Can't pin the guy down. Zach, we usually, on this podcast, we have rules. Yeah. We follow the rules.
Uh-huh.
When the Drivers' Championship is decided, we just dive straight into that.
I'm so amped.
So big congratulations for Max Verstappen.
Yes.
Claiming yet another Drivers' Championship.
Genuinely big congratulations, though, because this is probably his hardest one, right?
You're at what?
This is the hardest.
What do you think? Make your case.
Make my case. I mean, he's been having a crisis of personality.
Count them off. One. Who has Max beaten this year? Number one, his own devils.
Yes, he's beaten his own devils. Two, absolute team turmoil.
Yeah.
They have been... His Red Bull's name has been besmirched. It has been muddied.
I believe everything that Verstappen says and everything that they tell him on the radio is junk and wrong.
Yep, exactly. It's been really hard for him. No support. So Perez has been...
Number three, commentators telling him that he should sleep instead of staying up all night. What the fuck do they know? This guy's a four-time champion.
He's been in 3 world championships at once. 2 of them virtual. Right. It's really hard work. He's burning the candles. He's what's a better terminology than burning it? What's a Formula One version of saying that? He's wearing out his tires.
He's doing the donuts in both directions at once.
Double donut. Exactly. But all jokes aside, Rod, that car has not been very good.
This is the second half of the season. I think.
Yeah, it's been really hard and really tough for him to drive. Now, look, the car's not been very good. I put in talking marks for those playing along at video at home.
Not been very
the car's not very good.
It's barely a car.
I think literally every other team on the circuit would be in the paddock. Anybody in the lower half would be like, this car's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, can we get that car, please?
Yeah, can we have that one? If you don't want it, you're just throwing it out. It's like walking through Toorak and looking at the stuff that people put on their nature strips.
Or going to the op shop at Toorak. The stuff that's not good enough for them to keep is better than anything you get anywhere else.
That I could ever afford. So, tricky for him, but plauded. These are the plaudits. If we're going to say that we've always said this is talk of F1 Super License F1 podcast standards that we have.
Sure.
We always say judge the driver not by their results, but by where the car would be without them. I think. And Max Verstappen kind of emerged in his career from taking a Toro Rosso into a positions that it shouldn't be. Same with Charles Leclerc. Same with even Sebastian Vettel before him, Daniel Ricciardo as well. These are drivers who
they're all drivers.
Outpace their cars. These are all drivers, right? This is what defines a driver car in Formula One. And I think Max, it was tricky. There was a point where Lando Norris looked like he was just going to win maybe the rest of the races, or Carlos Sainz or Charles Leclerc, and Max wasn't going to win another race. And it kind of turned out to be the case. He's not really going to win any more races, but he's doing enough to wrangle that car into good positions every weekend, and that's good. That's a world champ to me, Rod. I don't know what standards you have. For the guy with the most points, who had to go through some turmoil, that's a world champ.
I'll tell you what, when he went through that turmoil, he was my champion.
He's my champion. He's the champion of our hearts.
I mean, he obviously stoked up a lot of controversy during his championship with battle with Hamilton in 2021 for his driving standards, dirty driving standards.
Oh,
Some said,
so
not
dirty.
me, but some people
Not
said.
you.
Lots of
Okay.
99.9% of people said it was really a return to that same thing this year. But I mean, we forget because he sort of wrapped it up in Vegas, and Zach Brown was the bigger man, walked over, shook his hand, and said, "Congratulations." And he went, "Yeah, well, you said I could never win in a crap car, and here I am winning in a crap car." But we sort of forget that he wasn't in a crap car the whole year, and when he was, he won a shitload of races. So look, I mean, yes, you have to be good still to win those races, but he had a huge head start. Now that said, Lando Norris, I think, has had a pretty good year. But I mean, more beneficial for him rather than the results on the winners board or the runners up board is the experience that he'll get. So I think he's set up well for future years. Hopefully, the car is still, one that will be in contention. But I mean, look, yeah, I think Max has had his easy years, and these have been some hard years. So look, he's done the best with the car that he's had, hung it in there when he can, maximized it. He maximized it, and he's reaping the rewards. So look, well done to him.
What else could you ask for? Like, what are we looking for here? If we're not looking for this kind of performance, like, what do we want from world champions? Like, we got a great season. We still got a great season of driving. Sure. It's competitive.
It's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
It would have been great if we'd had it from day one. Like, we'd all like to see it go down the line, but this is pretty good in the history of Formula One over the last 20 years. This is kind of peak. This is what you can hope for, is that if it's coming down to the last 3 races of the season, it wasn't settled halfway through. Great.
It could have been way. I mean, he could have won it 10 races ago if the car remained dominant. He was good. It would have been so boring and crap.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need to spend all day talking about this, but this thought experiment was going around that I thought, oh, I'll steal that for our show. This is a fun thing.
Please.
So imagine this, Zach. We know what the Red Bull car was like. We know what the McLaren car was like. We know what Max and Lando are like as drivers, but what say you, hypothetically, if Lando was the one behind the wheel of that Red Bull, and if Max was the one behind the wheel of that McLaren, what would the results have been like?
Good question.
Because to start things off, let me offer this.
Please.
More often than not, when those two have come together, it's been Lando the one that's challenging and overtaking. So I feel like if you were to replay this whole season and switch those two drivers, I sort of feel like the overtakes would have been more aggressive, clear. Like, I don't want to say cleaner, but they would have been clearer. He would have got them done and moved on and scored more positions. This is Max I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So this is going to sound harsh, but I feel like it would have been either very close or Max probably would have edged out Lando if the turns had tabled.
Yeah, if the turntables.
Yes.
Yeah, I still think Max wins in a McLaren. Partly because I think he would have established himself as the number one driver a little. Like, obviously Lando was the number one driver in the end, but I don't think Oscar Piastri. I think Oscar Piastri would have been more help. How much more would Max Verstappen have won this world championship if he swapped Perez and Piastri? I think
that's
way more.
That's even
yeah. I think
is definitely another question. I mean, if Max, the results that Max got, he got really without a rear gunner.
Yeah, but not just like on race day, but in points accumulation.
Yeah.
If you've got your teammate also accumulating points behind you, battering off all the competition, then you end up with, think of all of these times when you've got not just a McLaren chasing Max or Max having to go and overtake McLarens, he's also having to overtake Ferraris. He's also having to fuck around with Mercedes.
Yeah.
And he's got no one, like, it's just him all the time.
So that's another good point. By the time that Lando was competitive, he also had to compete with Ferrari and McLaren, sometimes Alpine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like Max would have done a better job of taking the fight to them than Lando did.
Yeah,
that's just honest.
And that's also experience though as well. Max has been there, done that. He's been fighting, whether it's Hamilton or et al. For his entire senior career.
Forget that et al. Raced for a couple of races there. The US
Yeah,
the IndyCar driver.
You know, he came through
Yeah,
the Red Bull program at Al. I don't know why I
This
use
show's
et
silly.
al. It is silly. I mean, why not? This is how do you know someone went to university? They use the words et al. Because they had to write it in their fucking references at the bottom of every page. You know, so I would say, yeah, Max wins in a McLaren. Lando finds the Red Bull harder to race with anyway. I mean, we aren't sitting here being like, wow, it's all Lando, not the car. I think the car's pretty good. I think the McLaren's a really, really, really good car. And people are saying, you know, Formula One journalists that I respect personally, the Luke Smiths of the world, are saying that that's the best car of the season. Yeah, that is the fastest car around. If you give Max the fastest car, you don't have to look very far into the history of Formula One to know that he's the fastest driver with the fastest car. If anything, he might have even got more out of the McLaren than Lando Norris could because he's a better driver.
I still maintain that Ferrari probably have the edge on McLaren for best car across the whole season, but McLaren have really maximized at certain periods. Yeah. And I mean, you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's some drivers' championships for runners up and constructor championships. The top prize is still up for grabs, and they could get close. And I just feel like all these people who, not us, but people who lazily look at who's leading the Constructors' Championship, well, that must be the best car. It doesn't always work out that way. And if you spend the whole year saying McLaren have the best car because they're on the top of the championship, and then Ferrari pip them, what are you gonna say?
Well, I'm gonna say that Lando Norris needs to be a better driver because Oscar Piastri is untouchable.
Well, there we go. I don't know. Do we sum up with one word Verstappen and Lando's performance this year?
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you go first on Max, and I'll think of one for Max as well.
For Max,
one word for Max's World Championship. Fourth? Is this the fourth one?
It is.
Jesus Christ!
Can we just say
so
fourth?
Quick? Fourth, man.
I mean, it's been. I mean, I don't even feel like he's learnt anything. I don't feel like he's like. I mean, if it was Lando, I would say like growth. He's grown this year. Max, it's been more like just toughing it out, hanging in there. It's perseverance, really. So it's about resilience and building.
Oh, resilience is good. I was going to, there is something like, it's stubborn, right?
Yeah,
it's a real,
true.
Yeah, it's a real refusal. And stubborn, not just with his competitors, but stubborn with his team and his car and himself.
The way he drives, like, no, and standing up to the stewards and everything.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
I am a world champion. I'm not letting this happen. Like, and
he
that's
had one hand on the trophy and he didn't want to let go.
No, and that is so it, right? That we've seen other drivers who like can get close, but he just gritted his teeth and just went, "No, I will do everything I can."
Refuse.
Yeah, I refuse. This is my world championship, and I will win it. If I have to do it on my own with one hand behind my back, I'm going to win it. He drove with one hand on the trophy and the other hand behind his back. He's driving with his fucking knees, mate. No, he's come out of the drive-through with his KFC.
Yeah,
he's driving with his knees. So, for Lando, one word for Lando Norris. I suppose you went first last time, so I can go first this time.
I said growth.
Yeah, I think green.
Green.
Yeah, similar thing. This is like a psychiatry session. Like, when I say growth, what do you say? Green. Yeah, he's just but that's my frustration, is that he's been in Formula One for a while now. I think that he's still doing things where he's not the up and comer anymore. He's just one of these guys. You know, he's just part of the stable of F1 drivers. So I hope there is more from him next year. But if I was him, I would be worried about the other guys that are around. The Russells, the Piastris, I mean, the Colapintos.
Yeah, I was going to say, it happens sometimes to rookie drivers that they get dropped in the same situation that he found himself in kind of this year. And I mean, Piastri's, in his second year, but still, I mean, it hasn't been that long since he was in contention. You know what I mean? So, like, he hasn't been around for that long. So with the experience that Lando has had, this year has felt like going right back to square one and saying, forget what you learned being a midfield driver or in contention for podiums. That all has to be reset because you need that championship.
Yeah, you got to hook it up every week, mate. and there's no excuse. So yeah, I
Sorted.
think he's got it. I think he's got it though. Like I think he's got it in him to do it. And I think it'd be interesting to see if they've got the car for it next year and even 2026. But there's an opportunity here to be. There's probably only 4 or 5 guys on the grid right now who could be a world champion out of the 20 that we've got. Call it 22 to 24, depending on how many drivers actually get a bite at the cherry these days in any given season. And I would probably put him in the could they group, not the never group.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if it's going to happen, it needs to probably happen next year, end of formula. You know, you've got a great car. Can Red Bull do it without Newey? There's this. Will Ferrari be able to keep it consistent? They still fuck up on strategy like they did this weekend in Vegas. You know, they're going to have new drivers drifting around with Hamilton.
Will Red Bull switch to a different supporting driver, and will that upset their dynamic?
Exactly. Right. Will Max take his foot off the pedal a little bit? This has been a hard season for him. Will he just kind of have a little bit of a, 4 championship hangover? That happens.
It's true.
So, yeah, if he's going to do it, it has to be end of formula, like we're about to see, or start of new formula. And that's not up to him at that point as well. That's can McLaren whip out a good car in 2026. So
I think the other thing he's learned is, I think the other thing that this year has told me about what he maybe might want to think about is being more consistent, and also that ruthlessness of, not just ruthlessness of the way you drive, but maximizing every single thing, because you just never know when it's going to count. And I feel like that's a lesson that Hamilton had to learn. I mean, he probably learns it against Rosberg. It's a lesson that Verstappen always had. Every single thing counts. Scrap for everything.
Yeah, every point.
And Lando, I mean,
18th, get to 4th, it matters.
It does. And I think Lando, as well as being just generally more consistent with that, will need to come and understanding that he has to scrap and fight to maximize every single thing all the time. And if he can do that,
he's learning that,
really sets himself up.
That's the midfield driver change to leading driver, which is that midfield driver is like, points. Yes, we got through a race. We got the points. Look how far up the group we got. We really hooked up a good race day and a cool race weekend. I think but you see it with Lando, right? You see that he really wanted McLaren to make him number 1 driver and to get these papaya rules sorted, because I think he did know that every point mattered, but he puts that on him. The real growth is putting that on himself. And not being like, get the other guy out of my way, help me, and be more like, what can I do? Ask not what the McLaren can do for you, but ask what you can do for McLaren.
Some of the things that he said lately, which I've been saying for the whole year just about, is he was like, people think that there were more opportunities for Piastri to help me than there were. There really weren't that many. And I was like, yeah, I know. Is what I've been screaming to everybody who says, get Piastri out, get that sandbag out the way so that Lando can win. I'm like, but that doesn't happen very often.
No. Yeah, it's not every race weekend that Piastri's like, oh, mate, I should have just given you all my batteries and all my tires. It would have been so good.
And also that he probably, the chances of him winning were way overhyped. He kind of admits that a little bit now, which is fine. That's great. I mean, he technically was in contention. He was the last one to be in contention.
Yeah,
but
you got to believe it if you're going to win it, right?
Chance, again, that's core to what we were saying before, but his chances were overhyped as well, because at the end of the day, I mean, there's still 2 races left, but he only won 3 races this year. And my dude, there are 5 other drivers with only 1 fewer win than him. So that's not exactly a dominant performance.
No, exactly. Yeah, this is not like the other seasons where if one guy is not winning it, the other guy is. It's actually been for the second half of the season, it's been fantastic, because if you told me that Mercedes was going to win some races, I wouldn't have believed you.
It's crazy. All right. Well, let's move on to some other things. And you might be noticing that I'm fidgeting around a little bit. It's because I got a nice new shirt on. I love this shirt. It feels so good.
Do I have one of these new shirts? Or
you don't have one. What do you mean? Why would you have one?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, why would I have one? I mean, what is that? I'm pretty sure I'm a member of that team too.
You think so? Look at this. New shirts. I just whipped up this crazy, silly little design. I don't even remember where I saw it, but I was like, oh, the logo looks nice in a little laurel thing like that. Send it to you and was like, what do you reckon? You were like, Rod, you bloody smashed it.
Ship it.
T-shirts are now available. So if you need something for yourself, you need something for a friend, or you want to make a friend, people hand out friendship bracelets and stuff. Why not hand out friendship super license T-shirts?
I have a friend's birthday this weekend, his 30th birthday. Are you saying I should buy him a Super License F1 podcast t-shirt?
I'm saying take back the PS5 you got him and buy him 10 shirts. Go to superlicense.fm. There's a link on there. Look for the little picture of the person who looks exactly like this, but happier because they're wearing our shirts. Click on that link and you can go and buy whatever you want. And it comes in so many cuts. If you want to buy like a singlet, you want to buy a long sleeve one, you want to buy a hoodie, a zip up hoodie, a workout, like flexi, stretchy, sweat
I might actually
shirt.
do that.
You can do it. They look great. I nearly bought one.
For the runs.
Check out superlicense.fm if you want to grab one of those.
I love that.
And how are you going, Zach? You feeling peckish? Did you say you were snacked today? You said you were caffeinated.
I'm caffeinated. I've been thinking about you because I saw you on my TikTok For You page talking about Kit Kat.
Oh,
now, I have questions. So I have two questions. The first one is, I was like your audience. I did not know that Formula One had a official chocolate bar.
Who knew?
Who knew? And I would say, is it Kit Kat or is it the Kit Kat Chunky?
Well,
that is the official chocolate bar.
Is it specific?
Well, I'm not sure if the Kit Kats are chocolate bars. The Chunky 100% is a chocolate bar, but the Kit Kat on its own.
Well, okay. But I mean,
it's four little bars.
Is that a chocolate bar? Those I'm reliably informed that those are called fingers.
Fingers. They're not chocolate bars. They're chocolate fingers. They just happen to be in a batch brew.
Here's the press release. Formula One welcomes Kit Kat as official chocolate bar partner. So what do you make of that?
Not confectionery partner. It was like sweets or candy partner. Chocolate bar partner.
Oh, it probably says that in the contract. Exclusive confectionery and confectionery adjacent partner.
Confectionery adjacent partner. What bar is featured in the... Are there any pictures in the press release?
Oh, well, maybe. Yeah, there's a picture of cars.
Oh,
no Kit Kats in that, but it does say, I was laughing at this line, bringing its iconic have a Kit Kat message to Formula One. The partnership champions the importance of taking a moment to pause and unites the two diverse global fan bases in an innovative collaboration.
What are the global diverse? So I don't know if Kit Kat has a fan base.
Fan bases of chocolate bars and fan bases of Formula One racing, I guess.
Okay, good. Yeah. They should.
When you go to the next race in 2029 or wherever it is, and they're throwing Kit Kats at you left, right, and center, you will not be complaining, and then you won't be saying, "Excuse me, actually, these aren't chocolate bars; they're actually fingers. These are confectionaries. They're basically toys you can eat."
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you've solved that for me. Question number 2, Rod. Milo Kit Kat Chunky. We don't have that.
Do they not have those over there?
No.
So good.
Yeah, I can imagine. Milo is so underrated outside of our shores.
Not everyone listening will know, but you know the joy of just getting a spoonful of Milo when you really need one. Grabbing a spoonful of Milo, just shoving it straight in your gob. It's like that, but surrounded by chocolate with a little bit of wafer.
Oh. I'm a big fan of putting Milo on it, like vanilla ice cream. I feel like
love that.
Yeah.
I go through so much vanilla ice cream when I do that.
Yeah. If you don't know what Milo is, it's just like a malt, nutrient-rich malt chocolate.
They claim it as like a energy thing, but it's like, well, yeah, of course, because it's full of chocolate and energy and sugar and
processing. But if you don't know, buy yourself a tub. You can get a can of Milo from if you're in the UK, I think you can just pick it up at a big Sainsbury's or a big Tesco. I think is where I got mine.
Okay.
Go into your local. Also, you can often find them in an Asian grocer because they're very popular in Indonesia. Probably a much bigger market than Australia, funnily enough. And if you're like, where should I put it, Zach? Some vanilla ice cream or stick it in a banana smoothie. Very nice.
I was going to say it's my secret ingredient for a little iced coffee.
Yeah.
Spice it up a little bit with some Milo. I really like it.
Yes,
like a mocha, multi mocha coffee. So good.
Or perhaps even in a Kit Kat, which I cannot wait. We're back in Australia in Jan. We buy myself some
Kit
Kat Milos. Little snack day. All right.
Well, Zach, we should move on. We had the misfortune, I would say, of putting out our last podcast episode probably 72 hours before the Brazil Grand Prix, which seems like a long time ago now because it was, but
yeah,
I don't know what you thought of that race, but I really thought it was maybe the best race that we've had in the last 3 years.
Well, in the last 3 years, That's huge.
Name 5 better ones.
Don't do. Speaking about teammates, you don't put them on blast like that. Don't make me. I have a sieve of a brain for Formula One races. We talked about this before. You sit down with anyone who follows Formula One seriously, or is in the like Formula One journalism space. Exactly, Michael fucking Laminato, and he'll be like, "Well, do you remember 2018? I think that race you're talking about, it was Monaco 2018." I'm like, "What? How dare you?"
Someone said the Qatar Grand Prix has been on the calendar since 2021. I was like, no, what? Isn't it new?
Yeah, exactly. Didn't they just finish building that track? Next year, you'll be telling me this is the second Vegas race. Brazil.
But the best race, Brazil. I mean, I watched it the way it was intended to be watched, streaming it on my phone while just listening to the commentary in my pocket while I walked around the zoo with my daughter.
That's so good.
And checking when the commentators got really excited, pulling it up 10 seconds. And putting it back in my phone, my pocket. But just seemed like a great race. I mean, other than, obviously, if you're a Lando fan, that would have sucked. But I just thought there was so much going on. If you hate Max Verstappen, for sure, that would have been a rough day for you. But I think the success story of Alpine, the action, I mean, you had multiple crashes from Williams. I'm pretty sure that was the race where Lance Stroll also just parked his car, got it going, and then just did a big donut and ended up back in the gravel and had to stop. So I mean, it delivered a lot.
It did deliver a lot. I think that track it's fast, it's short, it's entertaining. I think the drivers really like it because it does offer a lot of something about tracks like that where you just keep getting chances. You know, it's like, okay, well, that lap was bad, but it's over now. Quick. I'm halfway through the next one. You know, like you get opportunities. But maybe this has also been the season of when we're at proper racetracks, we get great racing. And it's funny how that happens, right? You know, where there's a little bit more jeopardy. The cars are, you know, as we've said before, they're late in the formula now, and the drivers can really, if they're familiar, they can really flex all the stuff that they are really good at, you know, and the cars matter just a smidge less because it's really about racecraft. And so maybe that's my hot take on why some of those tracks and some of those races have felt just way more alive this season.
And not having a car that always dominates obviously helps. It sounds like a basic thing to say, but I mean, there's been many, many years during the dominant years where people go like, oh, let's look at this Formula 1.5 where you knock out the leader and then let's see what's going on behind them. Wow, it's so cool. Well, guess what? That was all promoted up to the podium this year because there was no dominant car for the whole year. So it really just brought to life that idea of, hey, the midfield is where it's popping off. Well, guess what? Well, now those midfielders, former midfielders, are now the ones fighting for the win.
Yeah,
but I thought Brazil was.
Wow, we haven't done that in a while. Really,
really both slamming upward on the gas and then both having to slam on the brakes at the same time. You're like, oh no.
Well, speaking of that, I think that's the point I was going to make is that having one car dominant or one team dominant also had not the impact not just of, oh, well, that team's going to win every week, but it also meant that usually there was a second or third team that was just would settle in, would also just be like, well, they're 15 seconds in front. We just need to keep a gap. And it just became gap management. Turn things up and down as far as effort, just to manage tires, manage fuel, all these kinds of things. Yeah. As soon as you take that one dominant team out, no other teams can do that. Like everyone has to constantly be thinking about every single gap point. And so even when you would get hashtag boring parts of a race. Who's taking? Yeah, exactly. Me all the time on Blue Sky.
Oh, just do a tweet, mate.
No, I'm off the tweets.
Well, yeah, me too.
Yeah, well, who isn't? So I mean, that'll annoy Elon. I know he's a big fan of the show.
He listens. He'll be so angry.
Oh God, I imagine he listens to 6 podcasts at once. Like he thinks he can take them all in on double speed.
Yeah, and he has like one controller in each hand playing Diablo on 2, like one on Xbox, one on PlayStation.
Yeah, and with his feet, he's controlling
with
Doge.
his feet. Yeah,
yeah,
he's buying Doge.
He's buying and selling Doge.
Buy.
What a dickhead. I think that the idea that not everybody can just like, oh well, this is the outcome now. But in the middle of the races, everyone's like, oh, where can we eke out an advantage? What are we going to do? And we're responding to other people, and we're not just thinking about ourselves. And that has meant that even the Alpines of the world or the Haas's of the world, we didn't really continue talking about that drivers' championship, but it is, sorry, the team championship, the constructors. It's to use the right terminology, but it is. Yeah, there's a huge gap after Mercedes, right? You go, it's 340 points back from Mercedes into Aston Martin, but everybody except Kick Sauber's got points. It's you can't necessarily pick every week who's gonna be 10th on the grid.
I don't know. I mean, I guess everyone listening probably follows us on Threads, but I said on Threads, it was a gambit that I made, that if Valtteri Bottas scores a point before the end of the year on this show, I will drink an entire VB can.
Whoa.
Now, you get it. You know how bad that is. You know that I'm like putting myself on the line here. This is like creating your own stakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Stake, wink.
Stake.
If Valtteri Bottas scores a point, luckily Zhou New scored points recently and not Valtteri Bottas. But if he scores a point before the end of the year, I will drink a whole VB. I may throw up on the podcast for the first time ever.
I think that if you put that out into the world and tell him that, he'll respond.
I manifest this.
This
man, all the other drivers will just sort of like slow down and just let Valtteri go straight through. No, you have 10th, my friend.
He'll join you though. He'll come on the show and drink the VB too. I reckon that can happen.
He probably would.
Yeah. If anyone knows anybody if anybody wants to tweet out Valtteri Bottas or Instagram him, thread him.
We might do a speed run in a minute about like other drivers and their fortunes, including Valtteri Bottas. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So there was this one thing that I wanted to mention about Valtteri Bottas that I saw come up on TikTok the other day. He just decided to do a triathlon at home.
That's
crazy.
Did you see this?
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Just imagine waking up being like, I think I could probably I've got a treadmill, I've got a little small pool, and I've got a bike on, a 1-wheel bike. I could just do a triathlon today. I could do an Ironman, today. And just did it. This man does not give two shits about this drivers' championship anymore. He is everything but. And we talk about Max Verstappen having other
sitting
loves,
up and sim racing.
At least he's racing.
I mean, yeah.
Actually, but Bottas is like, I'm going to enter a cycling race, actually.
Yeah, actually. Like, what do you think will get us 1 extra 10th per lap this week, Bottas? Like, I don't know. Can I somehow swim one of the laps? Can I swim down the pit lane? Can I get on my bike somehow? Because I'm really good at that.
Exactly. I'm actually very good at Jenga. Could we perhaps settle it this way?
Is part of what he did run a marathon, or was it?
Yeah.
Do you know what he ran? So he ran a marathon and then also did all the swimming and all the cycling. So
yeah, I
mean, as someone who runs marathons yourself, does it make you feel a bit inferior?
I wouldn't say inferior. I would say
does it make your efforts look? I don't know.
1/3 is good. Well, if I'd said that I can do 1/3 of what a Formula One driver can do, how many thirds can you do? I feel okay about that.
Yeah, I had trouble getting up.
Yeah,
upstairs the other day.
3.9 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bicycle ride, and a 42.2 kilometer run. So marathon, really long swim, and also a very, very long cycle. Yeah. Look, the only thing stopping me from doing an Ironman is the swim. I don't want to swim for 4 kilometers.
Yeah, me too.
I can sit down and cycle 180 kilometers. That's not you're just sitting down, and I can run a marathon already. So it's the swim if I can get Valtteri to do the swim for me, I can do the other 2/3.
Chlorine, yuck.
No, well, and if you go and do the real Ironman, it's open water, baby.
Sharks,
yuck.
No, thank you.
Exactly. Run down the grid for me, Rod. Tell me about all the drivers. What are they all doing?
Oh, really? Okay.
Who's got futures?
There's one other big story, but we could do the drivers
shit,
first.
Really? One more story. Tell me the big story. Oh, I know the big story. I don't even have to look at the notes.
Well, you can get us there.
You know what Formula One is famous for, Rod?
Mm-hmm.
Really big cars.
Mm-hmm.
You know who else makes really big cars?
Who?
Known for making really big cars.
Limos.
Well, I suppose. Yeah, limos too. But regulation... Hummers. Yes, Hummer is joining the grid.
Tesla.
Tesla, Cybertruck. Sometimes I look at this lineup, you and I, and I think, who is the Max Verstappen of this team and who is the Sergio Perez? It's stuff like this that makes me think you're the Perez. Okay?
Yeah.
It's
And Carlos Sainz's cousin, who's like very supportive, but also a bit useless, hanging out in the garage just for show.
just for fun. It's General Motors Cadillac.
Oh.
Of all the brands that General Motors could have chosen over their stable of brands, they went with Cadillac.
Very
I'm
weird
happy
place
about
that ended up.
It's
Because it was going to be Andretti, Cadillac owned by GM. And then they're like, bit of a problem with the Andretti. You've got to scratch that. So slot something else in there. Like, yeah, I don't know, GM. It's a bit like calling it the Honda i30 F1. Like, it doesn't, they're the same thing, kind of.
Yeah. Are we going to just call them caddies? Are we going to call them, F1 caddy, maybe?
Call them caddies. There was calls for, what's that? Is it BWT to sponsor them so that they could be pink? And then they could be pink Cadillacs.
That's good. I think one of the things I'm really happy about is that hopefully they are just GM Cadillac Formula One team and not some really long with a sponsor brought to you by, Crypto.com.
Yeah. Dogecoin.
NASA Cadillac Trumpdoge Racing.
Trumpdoge.
No, I read the second time he's got a shout out on this show this week. Luke Smith for The Athletic had a really good inside piece on how Liberty Media got involved in ushering more GM Cadillac and less Andretti Formula One.
I think that's a pretty generous way to put it.
What you think the Liberty Media actually just what the actual story is? Hi, Andretti, you guys can't fucking run a Formula One team. We want a real constructor on the grid. You step down, put a GM guy up there, and we'll accept you then.
The two parties that needed to agree were the FIA and Liberty, and when it was Andretti Cadillac, the FIA signed off on it. Liberty didn't.
No.
And they said, you will never have a team on our grid under the Andretti name, especially with Michael Andretti. They seem to be fine with Mario Andretti, which is a bit weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
But they were specifically Michael Andretti, no. So when you say Liberty guided them towards that, it was a bit like, here's the things that you're going to have to change about your operation if you want to get on the grid. We want you on the grid.
We do. Desperately want you on the grid.
Andretti.
But not with Michael Andretti. Yeah,
I don't know what
that's a good
he did.
The thing is, though, Raj, you don't work for The Athletic. So if that was the article you chose to write, that would have been a very short article. That's more raw length.
It's more threads post.
More short threads.
We're going more for a sort of 10,000 words. Actually spoke to sources kind of thing here. But But thanks for the contribution.
You can do the TikTok, 100%. I'm glad to see it, though, Rod. What do you think? Are you happy about Cadillac? Tell me who it's going to be.
The thing is, it's just been announced. We're in the honeymoon phase. There's nothing to not like.
Yeah, you know
when
what?
When they announce Nikita Mazepin is driving for them, I'll be like,
oh no.
But right now, it's all positive projection. So yes, of course.
I don't like 11 teams. It feels weird having an uneven number of teams.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, there's going to be an even number of drivers.
There is always an even number of drivers.
Another question that people had was what's going to happen with qualifying? Because we normally knock out 5 and then there's 10. And it's written into the rules. We don't even have to worry. This is all sorted out. When there's 22 cars, Q1, 6 get knocked out. Q2, 6 get knocked out. Q3, 10. Don't even worry about it, folks. This is all fine.
It's almost like they knew
that's how it's going to be. Who do you think is going to be driving for them? Because one driver seems locked in, hard locked in. Everybody agrees. Colton Herta is going to get 1 seat.
Who is this guy?
Heard of him?
No.
IndyCar guy.
Okay. See, now, Rod, in the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to consume less social media. I feel out of the loop. I had to go hunting in the last 2 weeks for my news about Formula One. I had to go and read news websites. I have been off Twitter. I've been away from threads. I've been, focusing on myself.
Don't even worry about it, bro.
The fact that, I've been keeping up, but when I read this Hertz name, I was like, I beg your pardon? Who the fuck? So tell me all about
unlike you, I know all about Colton Herta, who was born on March 30th, 2000, is an American racing driver who competes in the NTT IndyCar Series for Andretti Global and Kurbagajanian. And he's the youngest person to ever win an IndyCar Series.
Okay.
And he's the son of IndyCar and Champ Car driver Brian Herta. So, I know this all off the top of my dome.
Of course, nepotism, right?
Yes, of course. He's a Nepo baby. Is he the first driver that we've had that was born in the 2000s? Surely not. He's 24 years old, and I'm sure there's drivers now.
No, there's heaps of drivers in the 2000s.
Yeah, there must
be.
Piastri's
probably from the Piastri must be. Colapinto probably is. Children, right?
Yes,
real
Pinto
children.
Would be, or Kimi Antonelli would be.
Yeah,
Kimi Antonelli.
I think Arsenal's captain was born in the 2000s. Like we're talking young guys. These are young men.
What show is this again?
No, nothing.
Anyway, so yeah, Colton Herta. I mean, I think fine. I don't care. I don't know anything about him. Sure, he can have one of the seats. What I care about is who's
Scott Speed.
Out of the seat. Scott Speed. Let's get him back in.
Get him in.
Do you think he is driving in anything?
Let me Google Scott Speed. What is Scott Speed doing? I bet you he's
Scott
being asked
Speed
to
retired from racing in 2006 and makes model trains.
I bet you Scott Speed's being asked for his opinion on an American team. I bet you
he
he has
weighed
come up.
in. I bet you that he made a ton of money with NFTs and crypto and has just disappeared to live on an island.
15th of October, Formula1.com. Lights to flag. Scott Speed on his outrageous F1 ego. What happened at Toro Rosso and a new chapter off track. Literally a piece from Mike Seymour, staff writer at Formula1.com. Speed lives up to his surname. Fuck you. I hate that.
Man, he was so he's like, I've already, how long do I have to write? 3,000 words? Don't worry, I've already got the first 15 done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he had a crash. That sucks.
Yeah.
And then, what happened later? Speed versus Coulthard, question of commitment, yada, yada, yada. Blah, blah, blah. Period of growth. Went to NASCAR. Does rallycross. I needed some AI to tell me about this. He does rallycross championships. That's good.
Nice.
Can the runner up. But, and he's also probably on X. Good for him. Oh, he talks about the sport's popularity 5 days ago for Fox News. Yeah, he's all over it, mate. He's been asked. He's the American in Formula One. But who really do you want to see in that team?
Any thoughts? Who's available?
I mean,
the aforementioned
Romain Grosjean. He's available.
I don't think he's coming back.
Daniel Ricciardo. He loves America.
Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, it's
America.
not the worst idea. I don't think it's a good idea, and I don't think he wants to, but it's not the worst. It's a possibility.
That's what I would do if I was them. You want brand appeal. You've got this unknown, Herta. No one knows who this guy is. It's some guy from NASCAR or something, IndyCar. Did you say NASCAR or IndyCar? It's got to be Indy. Yeah, because NAS, they just drive in a circle. IndyCar, the cars kind of look like fake.
I mean, do you think the Ricciardo brand... has the magic now. B will have the magic in 18 months' time.
Depends if they're any good.
Kind of depends.
They're a whole cloth new team, aren't they? Using Ferrari to start with and then moving on to their own power unit. That Ferrari power unit's good. Mm-hmm. It's an IndyCar, group, so they know how to.
They're only going to use a Borden engine for a couple of years, and then they'll have the GM engine.
American engineering.
If this is the F1 movie, Ricardo would be like the Brad Pitt,
yep.
I'm old. I'm
so old.
Oh,
this is my last shot, though. Let me show you how to do it. No, this is it. I think that's who they should get.
What about...
You need a known Formula One guy. You need a guy who's done a lot of Formula One stuff.
I think you need experience. What about Valtteri Bottas?
No, he's done.
Why not?
He's too weird. I don't think the market...
He's too weird.
Yeah, he's too weird.
Can't have it.
I think
vibes are fucked.
It's too European. Formula One is so American now. It is all about America, and he is like the Eurovision driver. He is this. He is. He's the Europe that Americans think is fake.
Valtteri Waterloo Bottas.
What do you mean Finland? That's from
Finn.
book.
Are you telling me that there's a Finland?
Yeah, exactly. Right. This is not. I mean, I don't even put this at the feet of Americans. I would say a lot of people probably couldn't point to Finland on a map, or let alone name its capital. Its capital. Can you name Finland's capital? Okay, well, yeah, because you love architecture in Helsinki as a band.
Yeah. You know what I call them? Architecture in Helsinki. Anyway, so you're a Bottas hater. I get it. I'm picking up on this now. I understand.
He's too weird and old. Okay, that's all it is. He's not. His heart's not in Formula One anymore. We need someone big, brash, bold.
And the obvious name that comes to mind is
Sergio Perez.
Fucking hell, mate.
No, who is it, Rod? You tell me.
I don't know.
Oh, well, I thought you were.
You're the one. I'm saying Bottas, and you're like, no.
Bottas. Yeah, I said Daniel Ricciardo. What else do you want from me? Who's available? Who's not locked in?
I mean, there'll be drivers available.
Oh,
There'll be drivers out of
2026.
contract.
Yeah.
Alex Albon.
Fernando Alonso's already tied in with the Americans in a
Carlos
different way.
Sainz might move.
Carlos Sainz. Oh, Carlos.
Carlos Sainz, Carlos. He might lose his car.
Yeah, and then lose his drive.
And
then he'll get this drive. You know who's also available because he's not in Formula One right now, but has been one Logan Sargent.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, I thought of Logan Sargent, but
did you? But then went maybe not.
but
He got a lot of money. He could bring some money. Do they need the money though? This is GM constructor. They don't need the money. Yeah. You know what, Rod? It'll be this Herder guy, and it'll be Elon Musk's kid, and that'll be that. You know,
Tinicus, Andronicus, or whatever that one's called.
Exactly. Why don't just put an actual movie star in the car for fun? Let's get Pedro Pascal in there. Why not? He'd be a great Formula One driver.
What actor would be a great driver? There's a bunch. What about? Hang on. What's Dr. McSteamy? What's his? Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey. Yeah, definitely.
Other actor turned drivers. Who was Malcolm in the Middle? That kid, isn't he a driver now?
Oh, is it? Wow.
I thought so.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
There's actor turned drivers.
There's also, I'm thinking back to all the celebrities who were very fast on Top Gear. That redheaded British guy who people want to be the new James Bond, who is often in American stuff, but I can't remember what he's called. That's fine. Jamiroquai.
Frankie Muniz is the guy from Malcolm in the Middle. He's driving out. Jason Priestley, Paul Walker. Oh, he's a bit like Paul Walker. I can't do him.
I mean, what a comeback, though.
From living. Michael Fassbender. We did it.
I think he's problematic. I think he's had some. Who isn't? I think
exactly.
He's had
some, Have you heard of Formula One?
Abuse allegations. Yes, that's true.
He's cancelled. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, Fassbender's on the way out. It's over for Fassbender. I think that J.K. Jamiroquai.
Okay, Jamiroquai. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, job done. Amazing.
He'll just be on the grid. The car will be sliding forward.
Just move the track around.
His helmet will just have a big thing on the top and.
Rod, you're talking about my dream situation here. It's fantastic. Talk about F1 dreams. Okay, so in actuality, it'll probably be Carlos Sainz. Daniel Ricciardo will be too far out of Formula One to have done it by that point, right? 18 months. People forgot about him. He'll be in IndyCar by that. Maybe that's how it will happen, though. He'll also be in Indy, and they'll bring 2 IndyCar drivers over.
Okay. That'd be interesting.
Well, American invasion of Formula One.
I mean, the thing is, if someone shows promise, and I mean, as we've shown this year, it's been like musical chairs. There's no reason why a driver with some experience and promise couldn't get a seat and drive half a dozen races. And the next thing you know, they're ready to go. They've got that experience.
Maybe that's how they'll get Lance Stroll out of the team.
Finally.
20-minute Cadillac. Be like, we found another drive for you for a year. You don't have to be here anymore at Aston Martin. Yeah.
You're welcome. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Well, should we speed run through all these drivers then? And I mean, these are drivers I think who have a bit of a question mark, positive or negative, about what their future holds. And I mean, I've just put them in the order that I thought of them. But number one, Mr. Sergio Perez. Yeah. Seems like there's going to be a meeting at the end of the season after Abu Dhabi. And Helmut Marko says, our shareholders will vote for who the drivers will be for both teams. Now, the thing I love about this is pure F1. This is like not who's the best driver, not who the qualified people think should be the ones driving the car. The fucking shareholders.
Rod.
What a shit show.
This is Red Bull to a T, right?
Yeah.
They are the fake upstarts. They're the Coldplay of Formula One. We're like, nah, cool, man. We are we're cool, we're hip, we're young. But it's actually, no, you're the big boys. You are the most capitalistic, commercially minded team on the grid. You are Formula One condensed down into an idea of a team. You are now making decisions based on your shareholders. Come on, team by committee. This is it for Red Bull. It's done. Max will be Max at GM Cadillac by 2026.
Sergio Perez has been asked many, many times, will you be racing next season? Will you be racing next race? And he's always been extremely adamant. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm cemented in. I'm not leaving this car. I'm not going anywhere. Now it's come out that he wants $20 million to leave. As in, they're going to have to pay him out $20 million, which makes all of that commitment like I'm here, I'm committed to Formula One, I'm committed to Red Bull, I'm not going anywhere. I know where I'm going to be driving. It's going to be driving right here. It turns out that behind the scenes, the question hasn't been will you stay or will you go? It's how much will it take to get rid of you? And he has now we know he has a dollar amount. If that rumor turns out to be true, but we will know. But we won't know right now. We probably won't know till the end of the year.
There's no one
crazy stuff.
And look, Liam Lawson isn't smashing that door down. Neither is Tsunoda.
He's had a funny couple of races where he really arrived through the bang and has I don't know, like I feel like a lot of rookies do this, show up and smash it, but then when they have to do that over a couple of months, they seem to just fade off a little bit or a lot.
Well, you've got a few more races now. Pressure's off. See what happens.
Speaking of someone who is in that exact scenario, Franco Colapinto. Again, we love him. We can't get enough of Franco.
What do you mean?
Lots of drama online with who he's dating and his manager getting very chirpy on social media, but park that for a second. Colapinto. I mean, there's strong rumors that he might step into Red Bull if they get rid of Perez. I think that there's a bit of a marketing opportunity there to be like, let's all of these sponsors that Perez has that are very profitable in certain regions of the world. Well, it turns out that this guy's from those same regions, and we might be able to keep that money, but also swap out those drivers, which would be an interesting situation. I guess it depends what happens with Perez, though, and if they can get the contract from, I guess he's signed to Williams.
If you're Red Bull, aren't you just looking for another middling guy who, like, given a good car, can kind of come fourth every week?
Because they want the money.
Yeah, so who's marketable but is not going to challenge Verstappen in a young, upstarty kind of way?
Every other driver. I
guess.
Valtteri Bottas is available.
Valtteri Bottas is available. He's available. Career number 2, Valtteri Bottas. Yeah.
Bottas version 7.0.
Yeah. I really feel like they should have just put Daniel Ricciardo in that car and just gone be done with it. I know that sounds like, of course, the Australian podcast, but like,
I mean, the thing is, if they're going to get rid of Ricciardo and then get rid of Perez, they just look so stupid. At least if they get rid of Perez and tried Ricciardo and it didn't work out, at least they executed a plan.
Yeah, and it looks good, and Max likes him, and it's all just fine.
But the thing with Colapinto is, I think that he has such a great reputation and following, and everybody just wants him to get a seat somewhere. They don't even care where. So it would be a shame if he doesn't get a drive. I'm sure it's not the last we've heard of him, though, even if he doesn't get a drive next year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Carlos Sainz is also wrapped up in the red. Everybody wants this Red Bull seat, right?
This is the weird one because everyone's like, "Oh, he could just go to Red Bull," but it's like, but he could have always gone to Red Bull if they wanted him. They could have got him easily.
They don't want another really great driver.
Don't want him.
He's like all good drivers. He's been through the Red Bull program. He was thrown out from them by them before.
Yeah,
and he probably is too good. I think that's it.
Imagine
and I think it would really annoy
him. He's overqualified.
Yeah, he is overqualified because they need to just make the car for Max Verstappen. That's what you're getting. When you join Red Bull, you are driving a Max Verstappen's car. That's where all the development is. And, that's not a good dynamic for someone like Carlos Sainz, who deserves to be a number 1 driver somewhere.
It's true. He'll be at Williams. I mean, another guy, Alex Albon's kind of dropped off, but at least I think Sainz will probably
stick him in the other. Stick him probably
bash. I think Sainz will bash up Alex Albon next year a little bit, assuming that he drives there. But the other guy we mentioned, Valtteri Bottas, he I guess could be in contention to go to GM, but some other weird stories. I mean, he's coming to Sydney to drive in the Race of Champions, which I didn't know we had one, but we have one, and he's coming to do that, I guess, which is great. But he was asked, would you go to Red Bull? And he was like, they don't like me there.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
what did you do?
What did you do?
What did you do over there?
Wait, imagine being so bad that Red Bull don't like you.
Yeah, the baddies. Imagine if the baddies don't like you.
Yeah, that guy's got a real stink about him, you know what I mean? He's kind of toxic.
Like
he doesn't really fit in with our culture because he's toxic. Like, fuck. But the weirdest rumor, I think, is that he might go to Mercedes as, I guess, a reserve driver, or even like as a support, like a consultant almost to Toto Wolff. Did you see this?
Okay, no, I didn't see that, but I could see it.
What's he gonna do?
I don't know. Work remotely, maybe, and then
just
jump
work
on
from home.
calls. Yeah,
schedule calls, facilitate.
He'll be a facilitator. Maybe he'll be the new Niki Lauda for the team.
Yeah,
he can walk around with a red hat on. He can chat.
That's what Lauda did. Walked around with a red hat
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
Just
they
a
want
real
him
mentor.
maybe they want him as like the Lewis Hamilton whisperer, as in like, okay, you know Hamilton better than anyone. You know how to beat him,
I
except
was
you never
inside
did.
his head.
So you really know how to sabotage Lewis Hamilton. So can you tell us how to do that?
You really know how to be alongside him while he does good stuff.
You really know how to make him look good. So you can tell us how to do that. Yeah,
Maybe.
Bottas. It's a shame that it's so weird, right? What an about turn, because when Bottas came onto the scene, he was so boring, just the most boring guy, and so serious and so Mika Hakkinen-esque without any of the vibes, and not the steely, like, cutting edge of Kimi Raikkonen. And look, we can't paint all Finnish drivers with a broad brush because this isn't even a real country. Does it exist? These are the big questions. Rod mentioned something like about Helsinki. That sounds like a made-up place.
I think he said something about Helsinki, and it's that. I mean, that just like he can't make up his mind. Like the holes in his story keep getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly. So, but now he's like this clown, this weird, like, the rogue friend you would have that would just be like, oh, hey, can I come to your birthday party? Because I'm in Prague. It's like, how did you were just around the corner yesterday. Oh yeah, I met some guy at a pub last night. Now here I am. Like he's very that vibe. You have a party and no one knows who invited him, and then he's sleeping on the couch the next morning. Yeah, exactly. He's eating all your leftover pasta salad. The whole container. I was going to have that for lunch, and now it's all gone. Like he went out to the shops while everyone was sleeping and brought home some Red Bull and Twisties for everybody for breakfast. Yeah. So Valtteri Bottas, we love you, but not long for this grid. Daniel Ricciardo, we talked at length about. So I think that that's all that's fit to print about the driver market, I would say. Yeah. More to come. Watch this space, I guess. Well, there's a couple of races left to go this season. We've got a little bit of talking before we wrap up the show. But why don't they just call it? Why don't they just go, it's completely out of the season. But I mean, I'm trying to get hyped about will Leclerc chase down Norris for P2? Will Ferrari somehow, because it's doable, they could overtake McLaren yet and win the constructors. So that's why I'm tuning in. Yeah, I can't believe we're going to be racing in December. It feels weird. There's a couple of races. Deep. I mean, it's. Can we get a Christmas race? Can we get one on Christmas Day? Christmas Eve race. And then they're going to hand over the trophies. They're going to do that like right after that last race because it's getting tight. Oh my god! Bring your tuxedo to the last race. Yeah, wear it on the track. Getting changed straight into it after the interviews. That'd be a fun green room. A couple of things we could close out on. This might even be a quick version of this. Megalopolis Watch, have you seen it yet? No, but I listened to a podcast about it. I listened to the Flophouse. Do you ever listen to the Flophouse? Yeah, it's not for me. Okay, fair enough. Do you ever listen to 99% Invisible? I know of it. Okay. Well, they had Roman Mars from 99% Invisible on talking about that because it's a film that is seemingly inspired by the book The Power Broker about New Rome and the idea of blah 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 blah. Cool. I've heard it's trash. Well, yeah, I mean, we've done this segment 4 times. We don't. Yes, need to go I know. Over... No, it's getting more and more trash. But the great point that I can from the Flophouse. Okay. One of the hosts said something I really like, which was that in 20 years' time, this will be your university or year 12 study. Not even the room. No, it will be isn't this an interesting cultural artifact of this great filmmaker? And he's this is the film he always wanted to make. Let's study this film. Not like The Room from haha, isn't this weird? But more of a look at all this stuff that this person was trying to do and all the references it's making to other films that he's inspired by and he made and had the world's best actors and from his favorite stable of his own actors. It's a really interesting artifact. Is it a good movie? Probably not. I'm so into film and arguments that it makes me want to watch the film so I could disprove that position. Should we watch it together? I haven't even seen it, but I know that that's wrong. Let's see what we can tee up. Yeah, exactly. I saw Gladiator 2, though. Oh, how was that? The further I get away from it, the less I like it. But I really liked it in the moment. It was very entertaining. Have you mentioned that? Did you mention that last time? No, I saw it on Friday last week. Let me see. Let me fire up the old letterbox and see what I watched. Oh, I should have reviewed it on Letterboxd. I don't know why I didn't do that. I should follow you on Letterboxd. Rebel Ridge. You heard of that? I have heard a lot about Netflix. Give that one a look. It's good. Yep, good. I'm here for it. I've heard he's a tour de force.
It's a good recommendation, that one. Yeah, absolutely. The actor's amazing. Anyway, enough of that crap. Should we finish off the show with one last thing?
Yeah. Hit me
Bit of an outro. I thought I was watching it while, right before we were getting ready to go, watching our preseason show to see what predictions we made.
Mm-hmm. Great. I'm sure it's good.
Were they good or bad?
Well, I think mine
let's get into what we predicted, and I think we're close enough to the end of the season that we can start reflecting on some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I threw it open and was like, "What's your prediction?" And you were like, "Right, Aston Martin, they won't be good. They just won't be good." And look at that shit-eating smile on your face. They're no good. Ding, ding, ding. Correct.
Everyone was like,
specifically, you said Stroll would be no good. I checked the points. Again, Fernando Alonso is nearly 3 times the points. So Stroll no good, Aston Martin no good.
Yeah.
Great prediction.
Why was that controversial at the time? Because
it wasn't
everyone
controversial.
Thought
it was just your prediction.
Okay, fine. Wow, way to shoot me down. Thanks for yes-ending, Rod.
Maybe because they had a good to middling year last year, where this year they've not been very good.
And they made
your
good
prediction
hires,
specifically. Your prediction specifically was like Williams, Alpine, they're gonna be there, and Aston Martin are gonna have their job cut out for them, and they do. And they have.
Exactly, and they are, and they will.
Your prediction a lot better than mine, I would say. My prediction was that Williams would be in the top 5 teams, and regularly scoring points and stuff like that. Which I'd have to say probably not so much. I mean, they haven't helped me by crashing the fucking car every other week. Yeah, so there's that.
Well, they need a Pierre Gasly on their team who never crashes the car, never anything.
Carlos signs.
Maybe if they'd had Colapinto from the beginning, their fortunes might have been different. Alexander Albon has struggled. The fact that if you tell me that Kevin Magnussen would have more points than Alexander Albon at the end of the season,
he's been doing okay. I mean, Haas unlocked there. They delivered their package, and all of a sudden they came good. Yeah.
Who will finish with more points? You tell me, Rod.
Yeah, I was going to say one last thing that we put out there was a general question for both of us, although I think you answered and I agreed, was who in Mercedes will finish with more points, Russell or Hamilton? At first, you were like, Russell will, and then you went, oh, wait, and this is what we agreed on. If the car was competitive, meaning they were competing for wins and the championship maybe, then Hamilton would stay motivated and he would put in. But if they weren't competitive, he would not. I would argue that Hamilton has had a pretty good year and drove pretty well, and they've won races. They're probably not in contention for the championship, though, but we were sort of all around it.
Yes, I agree. I think we're all around it. If anything, though, maybe as Mercedes became more competitive, Russell became more competitive. I think that Russell is like, I'm the dude, I'm the guy, I'm him at Mercedes now. I'm going to be the number 1 driver. I look like my skin has been smoothed in every photo of me, and so I'm going to be a smooth operator, and that's nice. And whereas Hamilton,
pick up the smooth operator mantle.
Exactly.
If you think about it,
I do.
It's my favorite thing to do. Russell has 2 wins. Hamilton has 2 wins. Hamilton won that race in Spa, which Russell was disqualified from having crossed the line in P1. I mean, how the turns would have tabled had Russell racked up 3 wins and Hamilton only 1. That would have changed things a bit.
Defining.
I mean, Russell would be on the same number of wins as Lando Norris.
Yes, madness, and quite a few more points as well. Well, neck and neck probably with Carlos.
I mean, it's funny because I don't think Russell had a great year. I think he's been inconsistent, but he has been pretty good, really.
I think Russell on his day is one of the best drivers on the grid. It's just that he doesn't have his own day.
His days are Wednesdays, and unfortunately, there's no racing on Wednesdays.
His day is February 29th. Okay, good takes. I'm looking forward to your hot
I give our
next
predictions a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I was going to say 7.
I think we did well.
Yeah, my prediction of our predictions is that it was a 7. Nice one.
Yeah, well, we can agree to disagree. Another great show. I feel like there's probably like a few opportunities to do more stuff this year. We'll try and do an end of season show.
100%.
Aforementioned people that I'll talk to and try and tee up a rough sort of time and date or whatever, but we probably won't do another proper podcast. Like that'll be the podcast really for us.
That'll be the podcast.
We might do a live stream or something in between them. We'll see. But I
mean, some big stuff might happen with the championship. with the drivers' championship, the constructors' championship. I keep getting them wrong. You know, the drivers who drive for the constructors championship.
If
we might have
those
to do an
fireworks
emergency
pop
show.
off, we may do an emergency show. How about that?
Yeah. What if it's a draw?
What
Who
if
would
it's a
win
draw?
if it was a draw? Is it more?
I think
who
we
has
toss
more
a
wins?
coin and we get to claim the winner. That's how it works.
It goes to the shareholders.
It's in the technical directives. It goes to the shareholders, us.
Us, me and you. People don't know this, but we're actually
We hold the
huge
power and we
FLM
share it. That's why we're shareholders.
investors. Yes.
In the meantime, though, if you want to subscribe to the podcast or check out the YouTube channel or buy a shirt, you can go to superlicense.fm. And this week, Zach, the FM stands for
fucking magnificent. That's the
Fucking
season
magnificent,
review.
mate. That's it.
Yeah.
And you can follow us on Threads. You can join the Discord if you like and do all kinds of cool and fun things. But I feel like that's probably where we're going to draw the line for today. We've done all the talking. I'm
What's the line?
pooped. And I've had 2 ciders, so I'm feeling really sleepy.
Really buzzed. Yeah, I get it. I'm here for it, mate. I might have a third coffee. You never know in this world, this crazy world.
This is a great choice. All right, then. Well, you, Zach, take care of yourself. Everybody listening, please look after yourself and each other. And until next time, my name's been Rod.
My name's been Zach.
See you next time on the Super License Podcast.
Didn't know we were trialing a new outro.
Yeah. What we normally do now is we play some outro music.
Was that Superman from Iron Giant? Is that what you were trying to do?
Let's say it was. Never heard of that.
Okay. Okay, fine.
It could have
been. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Damn.
Oh, yeah.